Welcome back to another episode of Heart and Soul with Janet Groom and Caroline Palmy. And today's episode is all about healthy boundaries. For me, it was so hard saying no to others. I felt it's my duty to help everyone and anyone, and always putting myself last. I thought that's the good way of living. Have you had similar experience, Janet?
Oh, absolutely. I think I was brought up to be a people pleaser. And I think that you and I know that there's deep-seated things behind that, the reasoning. And absolutely, even when I started working, it would always be like, if somebody asked you to do something, oh, yes, I can do that. I can do that. And you just couldn't say the word no, or I don't have time, or let me have a think about that. It was always rushing in with yes, because I had to be the martyr. That's the archetype of the martyr, isn't it?
Yeah, and also a bit of the nurturer, because you want to help others. You want to make others feel better. And probably about empaths, we spoke about empaths in a previous episode. We feel the pain or the overburdening of others, and then we easily step in. It's like swimming out and rescuing people, and it took me really a long while to see that pattern of giving myself up completely. I mean, I did that in my marriage, gave myself up completely to the day I realized I had no idea who I was any longer. And it's definitely not healthy. I mean, we spoke about energy. It leads to burnout. It can lead to depression, to absolute resentment, and helplessness. Because we can say, what about me? Who is looking after me? I would love someone to nurture me or rescue me, And yeah, it has to do with heart and soul, and what is true to our heart and what's our soul's purpose. And it's also about self-love and, of course, self-worth. When we feel a bit worthy of taking time for ourselves, we have an easier time saying no. But for me, it was the underlying, I'm not good enough. I don't deserve time for myself. I need to be out there and be kind and pleasing and helping others in order to feel good or be a good girl. Yeah, I think we are brought up to be the good girl, and young children are always, or young girls are trained to look after others. They have the fine centers out there. Oh, daddy, mommy isn't feeling well, or the brother isn't doing well. We have to support them. And going inwards and saying, what do I want, is really foreign. What did you learn in your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it does go back to that sort of being as a child. I mean, I can remember myself in the classroom. I would have been the child that would been, hand up and helping the teacher, and the very good girl. And it was that also looking for some sort of approval. And that comes from not feeling worthy and not feeling seen. So that you were doing that, playing that role, and the longer you play it, you just, it becomes a habit. It becomes who you are. And it was about pleasing others so that they'd like me. And I mean, I did continue that into adulthood. And it's, as you sort of say, it's only part of the healing journey that you start to recognize these things and go, oh, I do that. And I do get exhausted and I say yes. And then I kind of then are resentful because I don't really want to do that, but I didn't know how to say no. So it's a really important part of that healing journey, isn't it? And particularly as empaths.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with you on this one, and yeah, pleasing others for approval, and yeah, being seen, being heard, being the good girl. That was sort of like, yeah, pat on the back, you're nice, you know. That was the way to feel loved, to feel seen, anything. And we forget that we bend over backwards completely, you know, giving ourselves up. And for me, the wake-up call was after my marriage ended, and I sat in the living room and said, who am I? You know, what do I like? What books, music? You know, it was completely like waking up in a wrong film, you know, sort of like, yeah, this has been my life, but this is not me, you know. And what's me? You know, who am I? And then reconnecting with the parts. Yeah, it starts with, what music do you truly love? Not just listening to music others like, or yeah, making small decisions and expanding and strengthening your boundaries. And one thing that needs to be said when we speak about boundaries, many sensitive people, oh, it's a harsh word, but actually it doesn't have to be wires, you know, or electric fences or anything. It's a gentle, can be a really gentle, loving area we create for ourselves, because this is our physical body. And then sort of the boundaries I see sort of around my energetic field, and I can decide who I let in and out. And it's like, when I do the work with my clients, it's sort of like sitting in their own garden, you know, planting a hedge or rose bush or creating their fences the way they feel like, and then deciding who enters their garden and maybe who or what you have to kick out or ask to leave, and just being there, having that room, that space that is really safe. Because yeah, when we don't have the boundaries, we don't know where we stop and where someone else ends. And
yeah, very much what you're describing there to me is the auric field. And definitely if your aura isn't resilient and strong, like everything sort of gets in, because that's like our protective barrier. And exactly that, it should be about sort of, you know, who we choose to share our space with. And some people have very expansive, loving auric fields, but then at times you do need to sort of like almost restrict it a wee bit to sort of have a wee bit more of a protective shell. So looking after yourself, your self-love, your self-care, and learning that all important to be able to say no to the things you really don't want to do. I know it's always difficult because sometimes with family and things, but it's learning to sort of look at things and start that saying no. I don't know about you, but I've started implementing, if somebody asks me something, rather than just saying yes automatically, because it's like it comes out of my mouth before I even think, I have to just listen and go, oh, well, that's interesting, or thank you for that invitation. I'll have it just, I'll check and I'll get back to you. So I give myself time, because it's all too much. I will rush in and say yes, and then I go, I didn't want to do that. And I think a few of our viewers and listeners will recognize that in themselves as well. So it is about trying to change that pattern.
It is. It's a habit of just stepping in and saying yes all the time, and giving yourself time to think about it or count to 3 or whatever it needs. And also what really had the biggest impact is a quote. I think it's Paulo Coelho or Louise Hay. It's not clear who is the initial author of it, but it says, when you say yes to others, make sure you're not saying no to yourself. And that really, really hit the mark with me. I said, oh, I am saying no to myself. And I think if we see it this way, it's good to learn to say yes to yourself, taking a moment, coming back to your heart, taking a breath and just feeling into it and getting your own answer. Is that a yes coming from my heart, my soul, yes? Or is that a yes and then actually no to my heart and my soul? And that's important to really learn to, I think we had to relearn to see, well, what do I want? Because no one ever asked us. It was always sort of like, you do this, you do that, you be the good girl, then you're really congratulated and you're looked at, and we're in that habit of just doing what other people like, just to be pleased, and we feel by always stepping in, we please others. But it's really important to reconnect with our heart and soul. This is truly and doing what is right for us. And do you have a moment in time where you, for the first time, said no? You still remember?
I can't remember the first time, but I remember sort of more recently when I said no to going back to finish my master's at university. I was doing the creative writing part-time. I did the first year. It was not what I expected. Probably I wasn't in a great space, and the whole university experience really wasn't suiting me. And it just led me this panic about going back. And it's not that I couldn't do the work, and it's not that I didn't find the topic interesting. I just found the environment wasn't the right environment for me. And it was really stressing me and making me feel, actually to the point of starting to feel a bit ill. And I had to I decided I needed to make the decision. I gave myself some space. And when I really felt into it, thought, you know what, it's not for me. And I wanted to go back and finish it because, you want to finish things that you start. But realistically, another year of like going through that, I just couldn't do it. And so I said, no, I wasn't going back. And you know what? It was a massive relief for me. And I don't feel bad about it, although some people will say, oh, but you've dropped out and you should have finished it. And I go, I was doing it for myself anyway. So, it was my choice. And I actually feel that it really was a good thing for me to say that. And I feel good about it.
Wonderful. Congratulations. And that's it. When we say no, it's sort of like a big relief. But we have all that time to talk ourselves into it. I remember the first time I said no, it was many years ago, and it was parents' evening, and the neighbor mom said, oh, can I drive with you to the parents' evening? And I thought, so yeah, okay, of course, it's nice. And she said, yeah, but I can only come there. And then I thought, but then we're half an hour late. I thought, okay, but it doesn't suit me, but yeah, it's nice maybe to chat in the car, not going alone. And I talked myself into, and then she said, yeah, but I will go back with my husband. I thought, okay, so she needs a ride from me. I'll be late. I'll miss advisory, the most important part, and I might not find good parking space. And afterwards, I have to walk alone to find my car. And I thought, no, I really want to be there. So I really want to be there for the full parents' evening. And then I decided to tell her, and I was very clear. I said, so I leave at 6 p.m. or whatever time it was. If you're here, I happy give you a ride. But I don't want to be too late. And so I gave her sort of the option. She says, oh no, that's fine, then I'll take my own car. And I thought sort of, oh, so easy, because I expected someone to sort of scream at me and tell me how could I, but it was really easy. And I think if we have that clarity, it's so liberating. And I could go in time. I had a perfect parents' evening, and she came later, and we're still friends. It's not. I think we sometimes fear that if we're not nice or saying yes, that people, wouldn't like us, or scream at us or anything. But it can be easy. And again, we're doing it for us. We are not doing it against someone, but we are doing for us. And we don't have to be part of every party. We can go to a select few invitations. We can do a select few things. And I feel the older I get, the easier it gets to look after me, because I say, okay, we talked about introverts also. I need my time to recharge in solitude. I need my nature walk. I need my downtime. And I think I'm more aware of my energy levels and what I can do. What about you, Janet?
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. It does get easier with age, and I think you can speak your mind, particularly as well. We've been on our healing journey for a while. We've reached that stage where no is that empowerment, and actually saying what is right for us is a very empowerment and freeing thing to do. But it comes as part of the healing journey. You definitely have to work on the self-love, the self-care, building up, that you're worthy of your attention, let alone forget everyone else's, focusing, I care about me. So it is, energetically, absolutely, there's the right time and place to use the word no. Absolutely.
And no without the obligation of explaining yourself for 5 minutes. You can just simply say no. I think one said no is a full sentence. And I think that's important. Sometimes we can just say, oh no, it's just, no, or I don't feel like it, or I'm too tired, or I need time for myself, or whatever. We don't always have to find an excuse, a politically polite excuse. The excuse is that it's not right for us. It's not even an excuse, it's an explanation.
I think as part of that, it invites to things that I didn't really want to go to, that I felt forced that I had to go to. And then I would be absolutely feeling sick inside. And then I would make myself sick. So I'd actually then have the excuse that I didn't have to go. It was sort of like a weird cycle thing going on. I don't know if you experienced that, but I definitely was making myself sick with stress and worry about going to these things that I did not want to go to.
Sometimes I had sort of the wish oh, let's get fever so I don't have to go.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Perfectly normal, it's just, I think it's a normal process, at least for people like us, crazy likewise, but it's definitely, when you say yes to things and afterwards you go, oh gosh, maybe there will be a snowstorm, or
because I find now, by able to say no to certain things and yes to the things I want to do, definitely energetically, I feel much better in myself. My energy is going into things I want to do. So therefore I get, it boosts my energy rather than draining my energy. And I feel, at the moment, I feel really good. And that has made a huge difference. The power of no.
It is. And also when you say no to things that don't align or don't feel good at this time, it doesn't have to be no all the time, but then you create space for other things, better things, because otherwise if you say yes to everything, you're fully booked, and then something really nice comes along and you say, oh, I really wish I space or energy, or Do you have anything else to share about healthy boundaries, Janet?
Covered a lot, but it is about sort of tuning in and connecting with your heart and soul and giving yourself that space when somebody asks you something, just take that moment and say, oh, can I get back to you on that? Or let me check my, just allowing you that. And that's been, someone told me that as a tip, and it's been a great tip that I now use. And it's not being impolite, it's not being rude. You're just giving yourself the space to, as you say, check in that it's the right thing for you. And if it's not the right thing, to go back with sort of, I'm sorry, it's, you know, either I'm busy or it's just not for me, or just a no.
Definitely, definitely. And creating healthy boundaries is, yeah, the first step to self-care and self-love. You do it for you. Just keep that in mind. And yeah, healthy boundaries is an amazing topic. And what will we speak about next week, Janet?
I thought maybe forgiveness is a good one to look at. What do you think?
Forgiveness is absolutely amazing. And please, gorgeous viewer and listeners, if you have any questions about healthy boundaries, please contact Janet at janetgroom.com or myself, carolinepalmy.com. We are always happy to come back to you or leave a comment. And yeah, speak to you next week about forgiveness. And like everything else, it starts within.
Absolutely. Love and light blessings, everyone.